Welcome back to the deep dive. So picture this. It's 2020, maybe 4 years back.
Yeah.
And, if you were paying any attention to media chatter, the story was pretty clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Streaming had won. Piracy, dead, finished.
Yeah, that was the narrative, absolutely.
The whole idea was simple.
Yeah.
Netflix was cheap. Everything felt easy to get. You just click play. Why bother with sketchy download?
Exactly. The convenience factor seemed unbeatable. But that feeling, that stability is just gone, completely evaporated.
Right.
By 2024, the source materials we looked at, they're showing global piracy visits hitting 216 billion.
Billion.
With a B.
With a B. And get this, that's higher than the piracy numbers before Netflix and the big guys even showed up.
Wow. Okay, so the giants that supposedly killed piracy, they actually brought it back.
It looks that way. It wasn't just neglect either. The analysis suggests it was more like corporate self-sabotage.
Yeah.
They basically handed the advantage back. So that's our mission for this deep dive then. We're going to dig into the sources, internal docs, financial reports, customer reactions to see how these huge streaming companies, these billion-dollar giants, kind of betray their own winning formula.
The very things that made them successful in the first place?
Yeah.
Convenience and value.
And this isn't just, abstract market shifts. We're talking serious money.
Oh, absolutely. Huge financial implications. The industry is looking at potentially $13 billion in losses by 2027, just from this turnaround.
$13 billion. That's staggering.
It is. So we need to really break down the three big betrayals that seem to have caused this. First, the money, the way they squeezed value. Second, how they cracked down and, frankly, broke trust with customers. And third, the really weird one, actually getting rid of their own content. That drove millions back to, well, let's call them the more reliable illegal options.
Okay, let's start there then, with the money. Because that seems like where the relationship always starts to fray, doesn't it?
Usually does.
The betrayal of value. How streaming somehow turned back into the thing it promised to kill. Cable.
Yeah, I remember when Netflix first launched its streaming service. It felt revolutionary. It was clean, simple, and crucially, it was cheap. It felt like the perfect antidote to those awful cable bundles.
It really did. That was the initial appeal.
But looking at the data now, the price hikes, they didn't just creep up, they shot up fast.
Yeah, the speed is pretty remarkable. Netflix, the original disruptor, its standard ad-free plan went from, around $8.99?
Something like that, yeah.
And now it's sitting at $15.49. That's a pretty hefty increase in a relatively short window.
Okay, but I hear the pushback already. Someone's going to say, come on, $15, that's still less than taking my family to the movies once. How do the sources handle that argument?
Well, the sources really hammer home this idea of the fragmentation tax. It's not just one $15 subscription anymore, is it?
Right. It's never just one. Exactly. And what's really interesting looking at the numbers is how the competitors played the game. They launched low, super attractive prices to grab market share.
Like Disney Plus. That's a big one that comes to mind.
Perfect example. Disney Plus launched at, $6.99. Super aggressive to capture that family audience.
Yeah, seemed like a bargain.
It was a bargain, a loss leader, basically. But once they locked people in, boom, the hikes came fast and furious. Now their premium ad-free is $15.99.
Wait, from $6.99 to $15.99?
Yep, that's a 129% increase in just 5 years. That's not just keeping up with inflation, That's a strategy, an aggressive push for bigger margins.
Okay, and what about the stuff aimed more at adults, like HBO?
Same story, different numbers. HBO Max started around $14.99, already premium. Now, their top tier, the ultimate ad-free, it's nudging $21 a month. It's $20.99.
Wow. So add that to your Disney, your Netflix?
And suddenly, yeah, the cheap alternative to cable starts costing as much or even more than cable ever did.
Which brings us to that total cost burden you mentioned. That's where it really hits home for people, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the breaking point identified in the analysis. The average American, the sources say, is now spending something like $58 a month on streaming.
$58?
Yeah.
Every single month?
Yeah. And one source put it in perspective, that's often more than people pay annually for their car insurance.
That's a really stark comparison.
It is. And it highlights the core broken promise. Streaming was supposed to be simple, one platform, maybe two, endless stuff.
But now, forget it. You need Peacock just for the Office reruns, HBO Max or Max Now for Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, Disney Plus if your kids are into Marvel.
Yeah.
Netflix still has its big hits like Stranger Things. Hulu's got the network shows.
Paramount Plus for Star Trek.
Mhm.
Apple TV Plus for its originals. It just goes on.
It's exhausting just listing them.
And the data backs this up. An average family, maybe parents, couple of kids with different tastes, they need like 6 different subscriptions just to keep everyone happy. So before you've even watched anything, before you've clicked play once, you're looking at a bill that's easily over $100 a month.
That's just unsustainable for a lot of people.
Utterly unsustainable. And that leads to this deep irony highlighted in the source material.
Which is?
These companies sold us freedom from the bloated, expensive cable monster, and then they turned around and built basically the same monster, only maybe more complicated and arguably even more expensive.
Why? Was it just greed?
It seems largely driven by Wall Street pressure. For years, the only thing that mattered was subscriber growth. Sign up more people no matter the cost.
Right, growth was everything.
But then the market got saturated, growth slowed down, and investors started demanding profit, actual profit. We know, for instance, Disney CEO Bob Iger was very open about wanting Netflix-like margins. So the focus shifted overnight. It wasn't about getting new customers with great value anymore.
It became about squeezing more money out of the customers they already had.
Exactly. Maximum extraction.
You can just picture that moment, can't you? The family at the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
End of the month. Credit card statement comes out.
Mm-hmm.
One person's reading off the charges. Okay, Netflix, Disney, Hulu, Peacock, Max. The other's punching numbers into a calculator.
Yeah.
And they hit that total. $105. We're paying $105 a month. And I still couldn't watch that old show I wanted to see last night.
That's the moment. That feeling shifts. It stops being a cool, affordable perk and starts feeling like a financial trap.
And the analysts we looked at pinpointed that realization the value proposition is gone as the first big crack.
The first domino, yeah. But honestly, the price hikes were just the beginning. Annoying, yes. But the second betrayal cut way deeper.
Because it wasn't just about money anymore.
No. It became personal. They started policing how you use the service in your own home with your own family.
Yeah, this next part, it's kind of astonishing when you trace it back. The complete 180 on password sharing.
Yeah.
It basically turned loyal users into suspects overnight.
We have to talk about the tweet, right? The infamous 2017 Netflix tweet. Oh, yeah. Love is sharing a password.
They embraced it. They presented it as this cool human thing. Sharing is caring, basically.
Yeah.
Families share, friends share. It built buzz, goodwill.
It absolutely did. It felt like they got how people actually use the internet.
Fast forward just, 6 years to 2023.
Poof. Gone. Vanished. That same company starts charging you extra, like $6.99 a month extra for the exact same behavior.
And they didn't call it sharing anymore, did they?
No. Suddenly it was unauthorized account access. Or even worse, theft. They literally started calling their customers thieves for doing what they used to celebrate.
And the sources, they really dig into the fact that this wasn't some sudden ethical awakening, right?
Not at all. It was calculated. The internal documents showed executives were already talking about password sharing as a, quote, revenue problem way back in 2019.
While publicly playing the cool friend.
Precisely. Maintaining that friendly image while internally planning how to monetize it.
So what was the trigger? What made them finally pull the plug on love is sharing a password?
Panic. Pure financial panic. In Q2 2022, Netflix reported losing subscribers for the first time in ages. 1 million subscribers vanished.
1 million? Yeah, that would spook investors.
It tanked their stock price. The narrative of unstoppable growth just shattered.
Yep.
So Wall Street demanded action immediately. And the quickest fix, go after the password sharers.
The ones they'd previously encouraged.
Very same. They threw out this huge number, claiming 100 million households were stealing the service.
100 million? That's a massive number.
It is. And it justified the crackdown. Suddenly you needed to verify your location constantly, prove you're at the primary household, register devices. It turned the platform into a kind of surveillance tool for its own paying customers.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a second. If 100 million people were using it for free, isn't that a legitimate business problem? Weren't they kind of forced to do something? Did the sources offer any other way they could have handled it?
That's a fair question, and the analysts definitely considered it. But the critique wasn't really that they addressed it, but how. Instead of these really restrictive, punitive measures treating people like criminals they could have leaned into value, why not offer A slightly pricier family plan, say $29 or $25, that explicitly allows maybe 4 or 5 simultaneous streams across different locations.
Right. Acknowledge that families live apart sometimes. College kids, grandparents, people who travel.
Exactly. Solve the problem by creating a better product that fits modern life. Instead of just putting up walls and charging fines, offer a carrot, not just a stick, but they went straight for the stick.
And the consequences were pretty immediate, weren't they? The stories started pouring out.
Instantly, the source materials are full of them. College kids suddenly locked out of the family account because their dorm Wi-Fi wasn't the home IP address.
Yeah, I read about that. Imagine trying to explain that to your parents.
Or business travelers, paying subscribers, unable to log in from their hotel room because the system flagged their location as suspicious. Getting error messages basically accusing them of fraud while they're on the road for work.
That specific example of the college kid coming home for break, that really hits hard.
Yeah, it's so relatable.
You're excited to be home, flop on the couch, turn on the TV, and you get this cold corporate message. This TV doesn't seem to be part of the household.
For this account, yeah. It reframes the relationship instantly. You're not family using a shared resource. You're a potential freeloader, a liability they need to manage.
Ouch.
And the worst part, once Netflix proved this crackdown actually worked, they did convert millions of those borrowers into paying customers. What happened?
Everyone else jumped on board.
Immediately, Disney, Hulu, Max, they all announced they were following Netflix's playbook. Almost overnight, the entire industry unified against password sharing. The trust wasn't just broken by one company, it felt like a coordinated attack from all of them.
So they've hiked the prices, made it feel like cable again, then they started treating their customers like suspects. What's left to alienate people?
Well, this is where it gets really weird. They started destroying the actual product, the content itself. Yeah, this third betrayal is maybe the strangest. The idea of systematically removing popular, even critically acclaimed shows and movies, they even have a business term for it. Content impairment.
Content impairment. Yeah. Sounds clinical.
It is. Basically, it's a strategy where you pull a show off your platform, declare it a financial loss, and then claim a big tax write-off for it.
Wait, run that by me again. They delete the show to get a tax break.
That's the gist of it. They essentially destroy the asset, the art, to save money on their taxes.
Okay, that sounds completely backwards. Why spend millions, sometimes hundreds of millions, producing something only to erase it? Doesn't keeping it available, even for a small audience, make more sense long-term?
You'd think so, from a customer or creative perspective. But from a purely short-term financial engineering perspective, especially if a show has ongoing costs.
Like residual payments.
Oh, that.
To the actors, writers, directors.
Exactly. Those residual payments are a recurring liability on the books. If a show isn't pulling in massive viewership right now, it might look better on the quarterly report to just make it disappear. Take the hit all at once, claim the production cost as a loss, reduce your taxable income for that quarter.
So it's about boosting short-term profit numbers for Wall Street, even if it means destroying your own library and alienating creators.
That seems to be the calculus. Prioritize the immediate balance sheet over the long-term value of the content or the relationship with the creative community. And the most shocking example, the one that really sent tremors through the industry, was Westworld.
Right, Westworld. That wasn't some obscure flop. That was HBO's big, prestigious sci-fi show. Hugely expensive, tons of Emmy nominations.
4 seasons, around $10 million an episode, reportedly. It was a cornerstone of their brand, a cultural event.
And Warner Bros. Discovery just, poof.
Wiped it, vanished from Max like it never happened. And the main reason cited, to avoid paying those ongoing residuals to the cast and crew.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
They chose to erase their own supposed masterpiece rather than pay the people who made it.
It sent a chilling message. And it wasn't just Westworld. This wasn't a one-off.
No, the sources mentioned a bigger purge, right?
Oh, yeah. Early 2025, Max apparently removed something like 80 shows in a single day. 80. People logged in and found their watch list decimated. Classic Cartoon Network shows, stuff kids loved, gone overnight. And the justification was always the same bland corporate speak. Aggressively managing our cost base.
So much for being curators of culture.
And it wasn't just HBO. Disney got in on it too. The content destruction party, as one analyst called it.
Disney. Even they started deleting stuff.
Yep. Reports of shows disappearing from Disney Plus, sometimes mid-season, with no warning. When investors asked why they were basically throwing away content they'd already paid for, the executives just repeated the mantra. We continue to aggressively manage our cost base.
From a customer point of view, that's insane. You're paying for access to a library, and the librarian might just decide to burn a whole section without telling you.
It completely undermines the idea of a reliable library. The content isn't the product anymore, it's a potential liability to be disposed of.
And think about the human side of that. You mentioned the anecdote. The dad and his kid.
Yeah, the father and his 8-year-old son, they had this weekly ritual, watching some cartoon series together every Tuesday. They're halfway through. They log on next Tuesday already, and it's just gone. An empty space where their show used to be. Maybe a recommendation for something else pops up.
How do you even explain that to an 8-year-old? Sorry, son, the cartoon got content impaired for tax purposes.
Exactly. The company decided that shared family moment, that ongoing engagement, was worth less than some tiny adjustment on a spreadsheet for the quarter.
So let's recap. Legal streaming services. Prices are way up, feeling like cable. Trust is broken through policing password sharing. And now, the content itself might just vanish without warning.
It's a trifecta of failure, really. Failure on price, failure on trust, failure on the core product.
And while all this was happening, the illegal alternatives, they weren't just sitting idle, were they?
Not at all. They were watching, they were learning, and they were, ironically, becoming the better option.
Right, we need to reset expectations here. Because when people hear piracy, they might still picture the bad old days, you know?
Sketchy websites, pop-up ads everywhere, worrying about viruses.
Clicking dubious download links, waiting hours for a grainy file that might not even work.
Yeah, that whole frustrating, slightly dangerous experience, that's largely gone, at least on the major platforms.
So what does modern piracy look like, according to the sources?
It looks slick, surprisingly professional. The big sites now, like YTS or 1337X, they often look cleaner and work better than the legal services people are paying for.
Really? Better interfaces?
Often, yeah. Clean design, minimalist look, easy-to-use search bars, nice grids of movie posters, basically mimicking the best parts of Netflix's user experience design. They're built for one thing, user convenience, which is exactly what the legal services seem to have forgotten about. Mobile versions work seamlessly. You find a movie or show, click play, and it usually starts streaming instantly. High definition, often with subtitle options included.
And you don't need to be a tech wizard to use it.
Not anymore. That's the key shift. It's become as easy as using Netflix, just free and with everything in one place. It's essentially an alternative streaming service that ignores all the legal limitations.
Well, and this matters because as the legal options got worse, the illegal ones managed to keep delivering on the original promises of streaming, didn't they?
Exactly. The pirates, ironically, kept the faith. The sources highlighted 4 key promises they delivered on while the corporations fumbled.
Okay, let's break those down. Promise number 1.
Permanence. This became huge after the content apocalypse.
Right, because if HBO deletes Westworld,
it's still there on the pirate sites. That cartoon that vanished mid-season from Disney Plus. The pirate sites have the full run, archived. They've accidentally become the internet's permanent, uncensored library, a backup against corporate whims.
okay, that's a powerful advantage. What's number 2?
Ubiquity, meaning everything is everywhere.
No geo restrictions.
0. Doesn't matter if a show is exclusive to Hulu in the US or Stan in Australia or Crave in Canada. On the pirate sites, if it exists, you can watch it instantly. No, sorry, this content isn't available in your region messages. No messing around with VPNs.
That solves a massive frustration for international audiences.
A huge one. Okay, number 3.
This one feels obvious, but crucial.
Value. It's free.
Can't beat free.
Right. No surprise price hikes hitting your credit card. No juggling multiple subscriptions. No confusing bundle deals. No worrying about who's using the account where. And, critically, no extra rental fees. If a movie leaves Netflix and suddenly costs $4.99 to rent on Amazon...
It's just there, included on the Pirate site.
In HD, usually. Okay, and the 4th promise. This one is maybe the most damning indictment of the legal services.
What is it?
Customer service and reliability.
Wait, the illegal sites have better customer service. How does that even work?
Well, customer service might be stretching it, but in terms of user experience, often yes. Because they're not beholden to shareholders or quarterly reports, their main goal is keeping users happy so they keep coming back.
So better search functions, more reliable streaming.
Often, yeah. Their search tools can be surprisingly effective, cutting across all content. Streams are usually high quality and stable, and new episodes. They often appear within hours of airing, sometimes faster than the legal platforms update, especially across different regions. They just focus relentlessly on making it easy and reliable for the user.
While the legal guys were focused on crackdowns and margins.
Precisely. The pirates delivered the user experience the corporations promised, but then abandoned.
It really is like that analogy you used. The landlord jacks up the rent, bans guests, and then starts burning the furniture for firewood.
Yeah. Is it any wonder the tenants started looking elsewhere? Even if elsewhere was technically illegal, the user experience just became better over there.
Okay, so people started leaving the legal platforms, or at least supplementing them. What did that exodus actually look like in terms of numbers? How bad did it get?
Yeah.
So these three betrayals, hiking prices, breaking trust, deleting content, they clearly had an impact. What do the 2024 numbers actually show about this migration back to piracy?
The scale is just mind-boggling, honestly. We mentioned the total visits earlier. 216.3 billion visits to piracy sites in 2024.
216 billion. It's hard to even grasp that number.
It really is. One source put it this way. That's like every single person on Earth visiting a piracy site 27 times over the year.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't some fringe group. This is mainstream behavior.
Absolutely mainstream. And it represents a huge jump, a 66% increase from the low point in 2020 when everyone thought piracy was dying. It came roaring back.
Was it just movies and TV shows?
Mostly. But the trend hit other areas too. The sources specifically called out manga piracy Japanese comics. That apparently grew by 347% between 2019 and 2024.
347%.
Yeah. It shows that whenever digital content becomes scarce, expensive, or inconvenient legally, the illegal market surges to fill the gap, whatever the medium.
And where's this happening? Is it Pacific regions?
It's global, but the data for major developed markets is striking. In North America, Europe, and the Asia-Pacific region, estimates suggest almost a quarter, 24% of all internet traffic is now going to piracy sites.
1 out of every 4 clicks online
Is heading towards piracy. And crucially, how people pirate has changed. It's not mostly downloading files anymore.
Right, you said it's streaming based now.
80% of it is. People are just using these illegal sites like another Netflix or Hulu. They click and watch. It's seamless, normalized behavior.
And who's driving this? Is it older folks nostalgic for Napster?
Quite the opposite, actually. The demographic data points squarely at younger generations, particularly Gen Z.
Interesting. What do the numbers say about them?
Get this. 76% of Gen Z admits to pirating content. But here's the kicker. They often do it while still paying for legal subscriptions.
So they're using both. Why?
It seems they see the legal services as incomplete or inconvenient. So they pay for maybe 1 or 2 core services, but then use piracy to fill the gaps, find shows that aren't available, avoid regional blocking, or access things that got deleted. They're navigating a broken system.
That makes sense. They're fed up but haven't totally given up on legal means yet.
Exactly. But their frustration is clear. The data also showed that half of all young people, Gen Z and millennials combined, canceled at least one streaming service in the last 6 months of the reporting period. They're voting with their wallets or lack thereof.
And this isn't just a U.S. thing.
Not at all. It's global. There was an example from Sweden, a wealthy, tech-savvy country. Reports indicate 25% of the entire population there pirates content regularly.
A quarter of the country.
1 in 4 Swedes has decided the legal options just aren't worth the cost or hassle anymore.
Okay, so the user behavior shift is massive. Let's talk dollars and cents again. What's the actual financial damage to the industry? You mentioned that $13 billion projection.
Yeah, $13 billion in losses directly attributed to piracy, projected by 2027. It's an almost unimaginable amount of lost revenue.
How big is that in context?
Well, the sources point out it's more than the entire GDP of a country like Morocco. It's enough cash to fund NASA for about 4 years.
Okay, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
And are we seeing the impact already in company earnings?
Absolutely. The quarterly reports are showing signs of real distress. Disney's streaming division, for instance, lost $387 million in just one quarter Q4 2023.
Yeah.
And Warner Bros. Discovery. They posted a truly eye-watering loss of $10 billion in Q2 2024, partly related to write-downs and restructuring caused by these pressures. The financial panic is real.
And this isn't just numbers affecting shareholders, right? There's a human cost, too.
A significant one. The sources estimate that this resurgence in piracy costs around 70,000 American jobs every single year.
70,000 jobs.
Right. Think about who relies on a healthy streaming economy. sound engineers, writers getting residuals, editors, camera crews, production assistants. When revenue drops, budgets get slashed, shows get canceled or impaired, residuals dry up. Real people lose their livelihoods.
So the executives chasing short-term margins ended up hurting the actual creators and crew in the industry.
It seems that way. They alienated their customers, they undermined their own product, they arguably created massive unemployment within their sector, and they resurrected the very competitor piracy they once boasted of defeating. It's a case study in corporate mismanagement with really damaging ripple effects. Hashtag tag outro. So when you pull it all together, what's the big takeaway here?
It seems pretty simple, almost embarrassingly so.
It really is. Convenience and value aren't just nice to haves online, they're basically table stakes. If the legal way to get something becomes a pain, too expensive, too fragmented, too unreliable, actively deleting stuff you want.
People find another way, even if that way is illegal.
They always will. The customer ultimately dictates the market. And companies that forget that, the ones that prioritize digging for extra profit over keeping customers happy, they basically end up funding their own competition. They create the demand for piracy by making the legal options suck.
And are they trying to fix it now? Are we seeing any signs of change?
Well, we're seeing reactions, damage control, mostly. Lots of talk about bundle deals again.
Trying to rebuild cable, basically.
Pretty much, stitching together the very bundles they told us we didn't want. There are some small price cuts here and there, some new ad-supported tiers trying to lower the entry point.
But does it feel like enough? Like they get the core problem?
Honestly, the analysis suggests it feels like too little, too late. Like, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic after you've already hit the iceberg. The fundamental trust is broken for a lot of users.
Yeah, that iceberg analogy feels apt.
And what's really worrying, looking at the industry commentary, there's no clear plan. One analyst quote really stood out. No consensus among stakeholders as to when piracy may begin to decline.
Translation: they have no idea how to stop the bleeding.
Pretty much. The executives who drove the ship onto the rocks seem genuinely lost on how to navigate off them. They broke the model and don't know how to fix it.
So, the corporate Titanic hit the iceberg of price hikes, then rammed the lifeboats with the password crackdown, and maybe set fire to the deck chairs with content deletion.
A bit chaotic, yeah. The damage is significant, and the water is definitely rising.
Which leaves us with a pretty unsettling final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If these giants, Netflix, Disney, Max, all of them, can't figure out how to get back to basics, back to offering real value and convenience, how many of them are actually going to survive this in the long run? And maybe more profoundly, what does it mean for culture, for art, for shared experience, if the most complete, most permanent, most reliable archive of modern film and television ends up being hosted entirely on illegal servers run by anonymous pirates?
That is something profoundly worrying to think about, and that's our deep dive for today.